So it looks like we're live, but we've lost Josephine.
Oh no.
So maybe we'll just give this another minute and hopefully she'll pop back on.
There we are. All right.
Oh. Seem to have lost Josephine again.
Oh no.
Okay, I think I'm back.
You're back.
Off. I'm back.
All right, we are live.
We are live. Thank you. So sorry about that. Dan, I have no idea what happened, but we're back.
We'll figure it out after.
Henry, I'm going to pass it to you.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. The committee chair, Diane Gennardis, could not be here, so I'm acting as chair. The one item that we have on the agenda is a presentation from Parks about the status of current Parks capital projects and future park needs. And so I will just hand it over to the Parks Department.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the community board and to Josephine for hosting. Yeah, so we can sort of jump right in. As mentioned, I have two presentations. One, the capital status report of all our current projects, which we have many in the community board, and a presentation on the needs that we identified in the board. So I'll start with the status report. I'll just share my screen here. So everyone see that? Is that the status report come up?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just
good.
Full screen. Okay, so here we go. So this is our current projects in the community board. This one is actually recently completed, a couple years ago. We may want to take this one out, but we're excited about it. This was the field at Fort Hamilton, adjacent to the high school. This was done in partnership with School Construction Authority. So again, completed, but we have other projects here to complement this one. I won't get into those now. This is the sports courts. They were the worst courts we had in Brooklyn by far. And this is actually also at Fort Hamilton, sort of on, I think it's 83rd or 84th Street. And so these are in active construction right now, which is exciting. So they started over the summer, and we hope that they'll be completed in fall of next year. So moving along. Another complement to the recently completed field is Russell Pedersen Playground. This was funded by Councilmember Brannan. We recently completed design on this, so we're hoping to start construction in fall of 2022. This is also recently completed. Sorry, I'm just can't see my, hang on one second. Sorry, the tennis courts at JJ Carty, again, recently completed in, completed in 2019. Hang on one second, I'm sorry. I have the bar at the top, so I can't see the titles of my slides, and it's throwing me off. Yeah, I don't know how to fix that.
You might be able to, you can sometimes click on the green bar thing and like drag it around.
It worked. Okay, I'm back on my game. Thanks.
No problem.
Now it's nice. Okay, that should do. Anyway, JJ Carty, again, funded by the council member. This one is in design currently. This is a renovation of the playground. This is also really, really needed. So we hope to start construction on this in fall of 23. So again, it's currently in design. Patrick O'Rourke Playground. This is one that we got a lot of complaints about from the board and mostly from the council member's office. So here we're gonna. This is actually money that we get through our State of Good Repair funding. It's a mayoral funded program. So we sort of do this in-house with what we call our citywide services team at Parks. So they kind of come in and do sort of quick jobs, and this is a repaving of the multi-purpose play areas, what we call basically asphalt field, and then we're going to do a couple of the basketball courts there as well. So we're also doing this. I'll get to it later on at Dyker as well.
Chris, the red dotted line, that just denotes the perimeter.
Yeah.
There's no fencing included. It's just the asphalt on this.
That's just the asphalt, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they sort of have these like multi-site contracts, so it'll be one contractor that does asphalt on 20 parks across the city. So that's how they're relatively small amounts of money for capital work, and they're quicker. They're usually quicker timeline than our normal capital timeline. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. This is really exciting. This is a kind of a thorn in the side of the Parks Department for a long time. This project was delayed almost a year for a lot of COVID reasons, trouble getting materials, and the COVID shutdown. We also had to run a new gas line from Shore Road down to the building, with National Grid. So there were some delays involved in that. It's a pretty far run. Anyway, long story short, this will be completed. This is completed. We're just having our final inspections on the building now. So we're hoping within a couple of weeks to actually have this open to the public. The council member's been pushing for a long time to get this open. It's been a kind of a long battle, but we're excited. We think within 2 to 3 weeks, we can have this open to the public. So another one at Shore Road. This one, we recently completed design, so we're hoping to start construction on the brand new dog run at Shore Road in fall of 22. So just as a general note, a lot of these projects were moving before the COVID shutdown, before sort of the budgetary issues that we ran into because of COVID. So we're going to have a lot of stuff starting in the fall or spring of next year, and then the fall. We had something like 95 active projects before all the COVID stuff hit. So a lot of our stuff got delayed, and I feel like we're going to see waves of stuff coming in the spring and the fall of next year. So this will be one of those projects that was delayed a bit because of COVID, and then, we'll start in the fall of next year. Another one to start in the fall of 22. This sort of will connect. It's a pathway that was historically active in Shore Road Park that we're going to sort of, put back basically. I don't know if you're familiar with the park. It's where we have that wood chip. It's sort of a wood chip path now, sort of half asphalt, half dirt. That will all be repaired. The drainage will be repaired. So this basically takes you from 4th Avenue, where that new dog run will be, all the way to Vinland Playground, or just about to Vinland Playground, or to the shore, to the field house that we just renovated. So sort of makes that connection. And then speaking of Vinland, another project in the park. So we're working on the design for this, and we hope to start construction in fall of 23 on Vinland Playground. Now there's obviously issues there with drainage and with some water service, so we're working through those, and those will all be addressed in the new contract within the new project. This is another State of Good Repair I mentioned earlier through the mayor's office. So at Dyker, another sort of multi-site contract, but to do the multi-purpose play area and some basketball courts. I think this is on 14th Avenue. Mm-hmm. So this is exciting too. We also got a lot of complaints about this site. So this will help sort of address some of that stuff. Owl's Head, we have a few things happening in Owl's Head as well. both this is the playground. Or is it still in design? Right, so the design is completing soon, but we hope to start construction in the fall of 23. This is an exciting one. It's both the playground and the other side of the playground, which is right now is that weird sort of spray shower area. So both of those will be renovated in this contract. But the most exciting part to me is this part of the project, which is actually a separately funded project, also from the council member, to renovate the basketball courts. And I think I mentioned the courts at Fort Hamilton as being the worst in Brooklyn. These were like a close runner-up. So to me, like I said, this is the most exciting. And what we're trying to do, if we can, is to put both of these projects, the basketball courts and the 2 playgrounds, in the same contract. What that does is we'll sort of, the downside is the whole area will be closed for a year for construction, all of it, but that means, it's sort of like ripping off a Band-Aid. It'll be closed for a year, but then when you get it back, all 3 areas will be renovated. We also get a better price, and we could stretch the budget a little bit further if we can kind of get them in the same contract. So we're working on that. If we can, this will start a little bit later than the playground. So spring of 23 is the estimated start. And another one, the final one at Owl's Head. We just got the money in our budget for this one, but this is a renovation of the pathways and some of the pathways in Owl's Head, most of them actually. So it'll be pathways and drainage and benches. You'll see that when we do things like that, it doesn't sound like much, but it's actually pretty transformative for a park. It's for a park like Owl's Head that's so beautiful, to just do the benches and pathways and drainage problems really makes the park look brand new. So that's sort of an exciting one, and we'll work to do those in phases, so we're not closing the entire park. This is the sort of the seawall along Shore Parkway. This is a larger engineering project that's been in the works for a long time. I don't have a solid status on this one. It's sort of a ongoing project, but this is, our engineering team and other folks sort of exploring sustainability and how to treat the seawall. And this project is similar in a way. We completed in summer of 2020. This was, I don't want to call it a Band-Aid, but this was resurfacing of some of the worst areas to try to make it a safer run for bikers and pedestrians. So this project is meant to kind of hold it over until we can figure out a more long-term solution for repair and sustainability. Oh, there's a couple more. So McKinley is also a recently funded one. We just got this money in our budget as well. So both Owl's Head and McKinley will be looking at for scope meetings soon with the general public and the community board. But this is exciting. This will be the renovation of the playground at McKinley, also desperately needed at McKinley, funded by the council member. That's the last one. So those are all the current projects, everything that's sort of in the works. I don't know if there's any questions, or if you want me to run through the needs first and then we can take questions.
Okay. There's some questions.
Sure.
Wei? Oh, you're on mute, Wei.
Okay. Hi. So I just wanted to ask a question because I noticed, was it the Shore Road 95th Street project? I saw a building, a house. I'm sure it's for the park services, but what was the scope of work that amounted to the $4 million?
So it's a pretty large building. Even a smaller. So when we renovate,
I'm gonna go. Okay.
When we renovate an existing comfort station, one of those just very small, sort of 10 by 10 buildings or 20 by 20, it's about $1.5 million. So if you kind of triple that or double that, it makes sense. I mean, it's a historic building, so there was a lot of work on the facade that needed to be done. It has two bathrooms, and then there's a community room in the middle, like a multi-purpose room, and there's maintenance room. So it's a fairly large building. And then again, we ran all new utilities, so everything is brand new in the building. So that's sort of accounted for the price tag, and it's, you know, it's expensive, and it's kind of all up to public bid. So I don't know if that kind of makes sense.
Okay. I mean, it still sounds pretty high, but
it is high. I mean, it's high for a renovation. I don't know what it would cost to build a building like that from scratch, but it was a kind of gut renovation.
it's single floor, right? Or are there multiple floors? Because I passed by it. Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Marty? Oh, Marty, you're on mute.
Jesus.
Good?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Hey, good evening. Thank you for taking my question.
Hard to hear you. Sorry.
I as a tennis player, I really
Sorry, you called me just as I was like on a call, like asking a question. So anyway.
Oh, wait, you're still live.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
So as a tennis player, I really appreciated the renovation of the JJ Carty tennis courts. But a couple of those courts are so uneven. Is that something that was approached with the contractor that did the work? I mean, they're really, really pitched. I don't know if at this late date anything can be done, but I want parks to get their money back.
We're having a little trouble, or at least I was having a little trouble hearing you. Was the comment was that there's it's uneven. A couple of the courts are uneven and pitched, and to see if there's anything that can be done.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, people ask me a lot, you know, on the tennis court, like, oh, what happened with these courts? Why are they so uneven? And I don't know what the answer is, and I would like to know what happened there. And hopefully that was made right by the contractor or the person
Right.
who did the work.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look at it. You know, we have sort of formal inspections through different stages of construction. I know that it obviously passed and it was open, but I'll take a look for sure. I don't know what the status of it is. I mean, in general, we have usually a 1-year guarantee period on any construction project. So we will go for initial inspections when the project's complete, and then we'll go back after a year and see how everything kind of held up. So I have to see if that one's still up under guarantee. If it's not, there's still sometimes we have some sort of recourse with the contractor depending on the severity of the issue. But I can take a look at it tomorrow. I know there were some issues with some of the lines with pickleball that we tried to address, and I hope that we got right. But we'll take a look at the sort of pitch of the courts and see if there's anything that's incorrect and if we can correct it.
Thank you. I mean, they're visibly pitched to the naked eye. You don't even do the old rollerball test. I mean, they're quite obviously uneven. And the pickleball courts are great. They're packed. People love them. That was a great choice. Is there any talk of renovating the Shore Road tennis courts near the proposed site for the new dog park? Those sites could use a little love as well.
Not that I know of. We've had it on our needs list before for the council member. I know we're doing the dog run right next door. But I think that's something we'd be open to with enough funding, but I haven't heard anything recently on it.
It's also on our needs list, our priorities list, Marty. Okay, Richard, you're next. Richard Day.
Hi, thanks. So I was just going to ask about the Shore Road bike path. I know that you said that there's like the larger ongoing projects with it, and that some paving had been done, obviously. But are there plans to like continue those sort of band-aid fixes until that larger fix is implemented, or is it, you know, the state of the bike path just the state of the bike path until that larger issue is resolved?
I don't actually know. I mean, I know there's ongoing projects with DOT to work on sort of connectivity and other access to the bike path. As far as the recent fix, we just sort of identified the worst areas and did a top course repaving. But if there are other areas of concern, we'd love to know. And it was the council member that was really pushing for us to address the worst areas. So if there are others, I think, we want to take care of them when we can. But the idea of the sort of $7 or $8 million funded sort of larger design and engineering project would be to just, is for a more long-term repair. But no, I don't know if we have anything coming up, but if there are safety concerns, we'd love to know about them and see if there's any way that we can address them, and not have to wait for a larger contract.
Right. Chris, I'd like to follow up on that question because we've had several of these smaller capital projects and clearly there were resiliency and issues. So we're delighted to really know that this engineering study is ongoing. Can you find out for us, where they're at with that engineering study, how long
sure.
it's going to be? And we would love to be able to get an update.
Yeah, I'll find out maybe the next time I come on, or I can send you something. Maybe our engineering folks can come on and explain it in detail. I'm not an engineer, but I know it's been ongoing for a long time. I don't know who exactly is involved and all the players, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I can get you that information, and maybe we can get a more kind of in-depth.
Usually ranked pretty high on our priorities list, either number 1 or number 2.
For sure.
But both number 1 and number 2 involve that area, so we really are honed into the recurring nature and the engineering challenges due to the location. So, okay.
Great.
Anyone else? Yeah, I don't see anyone. We have a question from Barbara Pollock. She's a member of the public. Barbara?
Believe you're muted, Barbara.
Mute. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I had trouble getting on. I'm sorry. So I thank you for allowing me to listen in, and I appreciate your taking my question. We moved here about 2 years ago, just when the work on Shore Road and 95th Street was ending, the tiered garden and the ramp. I'm a little concerned about the lack of maintenance that seems to be ongoing in terms of that area. So much of the shrubbery has died. It's pretty much been overtaken by weeds. I'm sure a tremendous amount of money was spent on the plantings, and I'm wondering if ongoing maintenance is built into projects when we do them. Because if it's not, I think an important piece of the picture is missing.
Yeah,
Hey, Chris, Lauren is here if you want me to answer that.
Oh, sure. Hi, Lauren.
Hi. So hi, everybody. My name is Lauren Sylvester. I'm the park manager for the district. I just wanted to touch a little bit on the maintenance piece. So it's been a bit difficult, obviously, during the pandemic with the lack of resources being able to hit all of our green space. Because as you know, Bay Ridge has one of the highest green parklands in the borough. And then taking into consideration that not only do we do District 10, we're also servicing District 12. So our resources have been very thin, but what we did was we assigned a 4-person cutting crew directly to Shore Road. So for the summer, we kept them on Shore Road, and then we had our other cutting crew hit the rest of the district as well as District 12. That seemed to help a bit, but obviously we're only able to do as much as we can. We're unable to use Roundup or any type of chemicals that'll help keep the weeds down. So when it's only 3 or 4 people, with all the rain that we got this summer too, it was very rainy, everything just grew back faster than we can get to it. But we are here. Sorry. We are actively working, and I can definitely put my email address in the comments. And if anybody has any questions or wants to reach out to me or has any concerns, I'm more than happy to speak with anyone.
I do I can build on that. Sorry, Josephine. I think that one of the question was, whether we have money for maintenance in the capital renovation projects. Or, just getting some feedback. We don't, and it's something that we've asked for before. I think it's a vital part of some of these projects. Something like that, the ramp project with all that planting, that's much more than our normal sort of gardeners can handle. Unfortunately, usually these kind of projects look best at the ribbon cutting, and then a year later, when we come back for the guarantee, we do see a lot of decline in planting, and it's not because of lack of trying or anything like that. Lauren has only so many gardeners for both districts, and you can probably have 30 gardeners in Shore Road full time, and it would still be a struggle. It's a large park with a lot of planting. So, I mean, as far as needs go, we talk about capital funding for projects, but we definitely need staff as well, and love to get funding to have gardeners full time at Shore Road. I mean, Lauren, I don't know how many gardeners you have at Shore Road or within the district.
So we actually only have one for the district, and we have one for District 12 as well. So a lot of times, kind of unfortunately forego some of 12 to try to hit 10 because 10 is so large.
Yeah.
But recently, all of our gardeners for the borough were pulled back to the gardener shed, and they've been hitting, I guess, hot spots that might be heavy duty. So they were actually on Shore Road, all of the gardeners in that same 95th Street area, planting area, and they spent about a week and a half there getting that together. And now all those same gardeners had to then go to Gravesend and go to other places in the borough. So
right.
Yeah, it's only one.
So if you think about, like I said, you can have 30 gardeners at Shore Road full time, and it would probably still be a struggle to keep up with weeds and everything else. But if you think about just having one gardener for not just Shore Road, but all the parks in District 10 and 12, it's not an excuse, but it sort of explains why things are not always looking best. So yes, I think it's a great idea to try to work in some funding for staff and future capital projects.
Right.
Can
Yeah,
I?
yeah, sure.
Can I just ask, have we given any thought to ever taking in goats like they did in Riverside Park? They seem to be an effective and green option that communities like, and they're not prohibitively expensive.
I like the idea. I think they tried it at Prospect Park. Lauren, I don't know if we've ever brought it up to try to.
It's pretty cool. I would love it. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a goat. Yeah, that sounds cool. I can definitely reach out and see how that would work, and maybe that would be a great help, actually.
Yeah, I think any help we can get is great. We also have a Partnerships for Parks program that works with volunteers, and I know there's obviously the Shore Road Parks Conservancy and friends groups at Owl's Head Park and others. We welcome any sort of hands-on volunteering. I can, Hannah's not on the call. Hannah Basio is our outreach coordinator, but I can connect you with her. Josephine's familiar with her as well, and Lauren, if anybody has a desire to kind of get out there and take matters into their own hands, we definitely welcome the help.
Josephine, could I ask a question?
Yes, James.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
Lauren, so let me get my head around this. There's how much acreage is actually on Shore Road? Do you know, just offhand, ballpark?
Oh, the number offhand? I don't know the number offhand.
30 acres, 40, 100?
I don't 100. I'm not sure of the number offhand, but I can get that information for you.
It's not important. It's just what I'm saying is it just makes total sense that with the millions and millions that we're spending $4.5 million on a house down there, right? That building. And can you imagine if we did that with horticulture help? You know what I mean? If we, so I'm just the priority for people who are horticulturally knowledgeable, because like you said, Lauren, there's one gardener, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So really, if you just have people working, they could make mistakes if they were weeding those areas that were newly planted because they don't know which is which, correct?
Right. We don't have our weed cutting crew touch any of the planting that's going down the
Sure.
95th ramp. They don't.
Yeah, it just sounds like a huge red flag, bells and whistles that you guys desperately need, people with horticultural knowledge. And if you don't have them, that's exactly the way that park is going to look, because you just don't have the help. It's insanity to have one gardener in that area with the amount of work that needs to be knowledgeably done, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I just, $4.5 million for that house, and then we have all this acreage that we have one gardener that isn't even, 0.0001 part of that gardener to the amount of acreage he has to take care of. Sounds like you said, between him running hotspot to hotspot, he's never ever going to be able to do anything really efficiently, correct?
That seems to be the case. It's hard for us to be able to pinpoint one thing, because as soon as one thing is fixed, something else.
It sounds overwhelming, and it sounds like a gigantic bells and whistles, red flag problem that money is not being poured into you guys having people with horticultural knowledge working in this much acreage.
And Jimmy, this is the time of year, which, as you know, the boards put together their district needs statement, and that's certainly a big need. I mean, it's one that we have mentioned in the past, but not as specific as this horticultural knowledge. I mean, we need more help. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what people have to understand is that, Lauren just said there's one gardener, that's, that one person so that person's head must pop off. I mean, I can't even imagine what that person tries to do, and Lauren, they must be incredibly fatigued too.
You sound a bit muffled. Sorry, I can't hear you.
We're losing you, Jimmy.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes. You're good.
I'm saying that it sounds like they must be incredibly fatigued. I mean, I couldn't imagine that kind of responsibility for one person.
Yes, it can get overwhelming, but what we do at that point is then reach out to the manager of all of the gardeners, and I ask for help. And if I ask for help, if something is really bad, he will send about 20 to 25 gardeners out at one time. They'll have to spend 2 or 3 days getting everything cleared. So that's what we did the last time. What I was saying about the weed cutting crew is that aside from the gardeners, we do have 3 to 4 staff that is dedicated to Shore Road, especially during the summer, to try to trim the weeds, because that gets a bit outrageous too. But in terms of the gardener, yeah, we only have one per district, and we've even utilized the one from District 12 more so in District 10, just because we have so much more green space in 10 than we do in 12.
Yeah. So I'm just like I said, Josephine, I just want to put that out there that it's an absurdly difficult. It's absurd. It's absolutely impossible for you guys to maintain yourselves. You know what I mean? With only one gardener. That just sounds too difficult. It's just too difficult. That's why those plants are dying and not being taken care of. They just don't have the help, and they need it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay. I just wanted to kind of put that out there,
Okay.
Can we tear down that house and take the 4.5 million for gardeners?
No.
Wish that was up to me.
Chris, do you know what that facility is going to be used for other than bathroom?
So we're still trying to figure that out. I know there was some desire from the Conservancy at one point. I think we're working with our recreation team to figure out some programming uses for it at this point, and then the conversation is sort of ongoing. I don't want to speak for the commissioner, so I'm not exactly sure. I know part of it will be maintenance facility, and then there's obviously public restrooms, and then the community space. We're trying to figure out if it's going to be rec programming or what, but it will be some sort of community-based programming. So it will go to use for sure.
Okay.
And it, hopefully it'll be open within 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Okay.
I don't think the general public really knows that there's one gardener. And I think even if the powers that be knew that, I think there would be more of an outcry for that kind of money funneled into that. That's the kind of information that people do not know. One gardener, and then people just helping, you know what I mean? And cleaning crews, not gardeners. So they cannot literally weed because they don't know what they're pulling out or not. So, you know, it's a huge problem. I mean, it's one of the reasons that the parks look the way they do. They don't have any help.
So I came from Windsor Terrace. We moved there in 95. Prospect Park was quite a mess. So was the park on Fifth Avenue, the old Stonehouse Park. A lot of community effort went into restoring both parks and was pretty successful. Have we thought at all here about having something like the Prospect Park Alliance, somebody privately manage the park, or getting some sort of federal status as a national park because of the harbor? It just seems like the park is blighted compared to some of the other parks that I have seen in Brooklyn.
I don't know if you have anything in specific, Chris, but I know when I started as the manager in District 10, that was in 2019, there was the Shore Road Conservancy. I think it was Linda Allegretti. And I forgot Chip's last name. I believe he was a part of that as well. I'm not entirely sure where they are, but as Chris had mentioned, that would be somewhat of a volunteer thing to begin, which is how Prospect Park Alliance started until they were able to raise the funding. So it really does start with the community. I think what Jimmy was saying about it not being known that it was only one gardener. I think when the community requests things like, oh, we need this house renovated, then the council member or whoever is raising the money is going to raise the money based off of what the community is asking for. So I do agree, if you think it's important that we have more, which we know it is, we desperately do need the funding.
And publicly, Chris and Lauren can't complain about that. They, you know, they can only do their job. They can't complain and say, this is ridiculous, we need more people. We need to say it and then do the funding.
Right.
And we do, I mean, we have, you know, Barbara, I could also talk offline. There have been many efforts to raise funds to establish the Shore Road Parks Conservancy. There were plans and an active group. Jimmy Johnson, who's on the call, has an outstanding volunteer network at Narrows Botanic Gardens, but it's all volunteer run, and it's been so for many years. And you know, raising funds is a struggle all the time, and but there are many hands who have really helped beautify many portions of Shore Road Park and groups, and for that we are grateful.
Yeah, the Botanic Garden is amazing, and there are parts of the park that are amazing. And overall, I think it's one of the most beautiful parks in the city because of the amazing vantage point for the harbor. I mean, I don't know of any other park that's like that. So it just seems like we should be able to garnish more support for keeping it the gem that it should be.
Okay.
It's all about funding. And I don't think that most people in the public realize that there's one gardener. I think if they knew that, there would be a general outcry, and then maybe money would be funneled into that. But Chris, if money was funneled in, they couldn't just get gardeners for Bay Ridge. I mean, for District 10, correct?
I don't know. It wouldn't be capital money. I mean, we have had council members fund specific positions of need. I mean, for example, Councilmember Traeger in Coney Island funded a carpenter to solely work on the boardwalk to repair, broken boardwalk boards. So that kind of, there's precedent for that kind of stuff. We have had, through expense funding and other funds, positions funded, Parks Enforcement Patrol positions and garden positions, but doesn't happen often. But the sort of large scale funding, I don't know how that's handled.
Okay.
Michelle, that's a question of, well, when I used to be former PEP, so I know how it works in Battery Park City and HRP, that they have specific funding and those bodies have to be placed in their, in HRP. So when I first got here, I definitely suggested that, like, how can we get that to work where there is somebody, or maybe the council member can fund at least one or two lines? So that is a question that has been asked. It just hasn't been fulfilled yet. There's so many other pieces that we're trying to fit into the puzzle that sometimes that can get overlooked, but that is a very great suggestion, and I've asked the same thing.
It's impossible, Lauren, for you to do it. It's impossible for one gardener to do all of Shore Road and also Marine Park. It's just impossible. It's not even a difficult thing. It's just impossible.
Okay, there's some more. Michelle Delpin, you have your hand raised.
Hi, yes, I am currently working for NRG with the Parks Department. And we do a lot of invasive species removal, but what I've learned also, especially working there, is that it's not so much that to remove all of the mugwort, that will not be possible. It's very hard, especially for one person. But it's to make sure the trees survive, so they grow up and get tall enough to outshade the invasives. So is it okay if I just go down there one weekend and with like a pair of loppers and try to save some baby trees?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something else. So just like in terms of gardening, like assisting in that way?
Yeah, I'm a gardener at in Queensbridge for the citywide invasive.
Well, I put my email there. If you can send me an email, I can definitely connect you with Roderick. I always want to go through Roderick Phillips, who is the Hort manager, just so that he's aware of what's going to be done, so none of his gardeners come out and are confused. But that would be beautiful. Like Chris said, we can use all the hands that we can get. So if you're knowledgeable, we could use you. So definitely send me an email and I'll connect you with Roderick.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Wei, you had your hand raised? Or is that from before?
No, that's a new one. No, I was just tagging on to Jimmy's question about, or somebody else's question about the funding for operations, for OpEx. Is there a separate committee or bucket that the community uses to maintain these parks, or is it, I know maybe annually there's a budget forecast. Do we have something like that for our parks? And do we have,
you mean for horticulture,
money available
for horticulture,
for general operational, for horticulture, for landscaping, any of that, for fixing the light bulbs in the street if they go out, any kind of maintenance budget? Do we have that for our district?
Not that I'm aware of. There's not a separate budget that we have to spend. I know some districts might have a $200 budget if we have to buy things out of our pocket. But other than that, no, I'm not aware of any separate budget within the community.
Okay. Does the city have a separate budget for that, for maintenance?
Yes.
Of parks?
Right. Every agency has, a capital budget, which is, greater than $35,000 with a lifespan of more than 5 years. And then the agencies each fiscal year are allotted X amount of dollars, expense dollars, and that's for personnel and general, maintenance. But Chris, you could probably speak to it's that money is given overall to the Parks Department, then distributed to all, to all 5 boroughs and individual districts. So for example, Lauren Sylvester is the manager of all the parks within community districts 10 and 12. Is that right,
Yeah.
Lauren? Yes, 10 and 12. So overall, so there are parks employees that their salaries are drawn from the expense budget. Cost to run, basic services is from the expense budget, but certainly not enough, to cover all of the need. Something that we each year during the month of October, which you'll see, many of you are new board members, that we advocate for additional funding for part-time parks workers, for gardeners, for equipment to clear the weeds. And unfortunately, parks just keeps getting hit in their budget and doesn't have enough for the demand.
Yeah. Well, now you have the invasive, spotted lanternfly too that we have to fight. So that's another, issue that we have to deal with, statewide.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Chris, I know you have another quick needs.
Yeah, I can pull that up quick. So it's only a few slides. Actually, we have a fair amount of active projects, more so than I think most community boards. And to Councilmember Brannon's credit, he's really done an amazing job at funding parks in the community board. So there's some need, obviously. So we'll go through those. Let me just move this down. So, we talked a lot about Owl's Head and Shore Road and some of the need at those parks, but they do have a lot of active projects. Where we don't have a lot of active stuff is Dyker Beach. So at Dyker Beach Park is really where we have most of the need in the community board. So just a few of these slides, and obviously these numbers seem outrageous, and they are, and they may be out of what, Councilmember Brannon can fund on his own, or maybe in a combination with the mayor or the borough president, but, and a lot of times we may not get all the funding. We may do things in phases, but these are just some general numbers, for some of the work that needs to be done. And this is on the Bay 8 side. And obviously phase 1 is, reconstructing pathways and benches and drainage. Phase 2 would be to address the basketball courts, seating areas. And phase 3, and you can see them in the colors, is working on the tennis courts on 14th Avenue. So the next slide is similar. This is the 14th Avenue side at Dyker. So if you can see my cursor, this is what's being done in the state of good repair that we already have funding from the mayor for. So that'll happen soon. And we're doing a couple of the courts over here. So phase 1 in the green is to reconstruct 2 baseball fields. Phase 3 is to do baseball fields as well. And then that was phase 2, and then phase 3 is to work on the playground, the courts, the handball courts. So like I said, we are doing some of the basketball courts, or the basketball courts in the state of good repair project. So that number, that $9 million figure, would probably come down for phase 3, but these are just sort of the general numbers. There's also need we've identified, and again, these are needs that the borough has identified, some of the parks that really need help. So John Paul Jones Park, beautiful park, but again, we kind of talked about how putting funding in, like we're doing at Owl's Head, for pathways and benches would really make a big difference. And this park has similar pavement that we have on the sidewalks at Shore Road, is that hex block paving. And so a lot of it is sinking, and we gotta, it's hard for us to maintain because of weeds and everything else gets stuck in it. So we're looking at an estimate of $2 million for this park to do pathways and benches throughout the park. And then finally, there's one last slide, and this is just something Commissioner wanted me to include. We spoke a lot about this already, but general park improvements at Shore Road Park. Again, we have 4 or 5 active projects funded by Councilmember Brannon at Shore Road currently, but $10 million would sort of be a drop in the bucket, but it would be a start here for pathways and sidewalks and drainage and benches throughout the park. When you look at a park this size, we had a program a couple of years ago funded by the mayor called Anchor Park Program. They chose one park in every borough to fund for $30 million. Betsy Head Park in East New York or Brownsville was chosen in Brooklyn through the program, and I'm sure some of you voted for Shore Road Park, but it would definitely be a similar situation where we have a figure of 10 million here, but you could easily spend 30 million in Shore Road and probably not get to everything. So that's the last slide. These are the parks right now that we've identified as in greatest need in the community board. If the board feels that there are other projects that are, number 1, number 2, number 3, if you could share that with us, we'd love to have that information. We'd love to produce slides and estimates that we can give to the council member, give to the mayor's office, and the borough president when we meet with them, to say, this is what the borough wants, this is what the community wants, and here's, here are the projects that overlap, and we feel like these are the ones that we want to get funding for. So I can share these both these presentations, tomorrow morning when I get back in the office. I can take this down if there's any questions.
That would be great. What I wanted to say, Chris, is that so Community Board 10's capital priority and expense priority list, more so the capital is very park heavy because we have so much acreage. As Lauren mentioned earlier, we're very fortunate in Community District 10. So there are many, each year we do hear from the public and we incorporate those priorities within our lists. Many of those were not mentioned today. Prior to the meeting last week, we sent out a very large email blast asking from the public if they have, a wish list or needs that they have identified, and overwhelming many people, especially we have some wheelchair users, are very much, continue to advocate for perimeter sidewalk. Shore Road Park is probably number one in that request. There are many portions of the perimeter sidewalk with the hex blocks that are really in need of replacement. And we also are hearing about Leif Erikson Park. And some of the hex blocks there. It's an older community. There's been a lot of work in upper, which I call the Dyker Heights Leif Erikson Park, but we've also gotten a lot of requests in lower Leif Erikson Park from seniors in the community and some more of the merchants that are nearby who would like to see some upgrades there as well. Those are the two that I have off the top of my head. And of course, we have great visions for many other capital projects, but once we adopt our capital and expense priorities, which we're going to begin reviewing with our executive committee, we'll certainly, and the full board on the 18th of October, we'll share with you and let you know.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Leif Erikson is one that should be on the list. I'm sure Lauren would agree with that as well. And I'm sure Lauren probably has her own list of parks that, that she, But
we have about 15. We'd love to see the park house at McKinley, brought up. I mean, just going through our list, it's and on the expense side, certainly, tree pruning, trees are our top. New trees, 311s on new trees is about 720-day wait. So I think our expense and capital list is going to be big. In great ways, advocating for more resources for the New York City parks in our district.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is really helpful. It's helpful to sort of have a candid conversation about some of the need and anything we can do to provide information. I can send both these presentations tomorrow if you want to review them, and if there's any questions, feel free to send me an email. I can kind of elaborate on things.
Thank you. Henry, I'm going to turn it over back to you.
Are there any other questions? All right, well then I guess we're done here.
Thank you very much. And I'll look for that email tomorrow, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Good night,
Have a good night.